Hey everyone, I hope you all had a great Easter. I am just going through my rig today because I thought I'd show you what I'm planning for. It's actually an album launch show for my girlfriend, Millie tomorrow. She's got a debut album out. Check it out if you haven't already heard it. It's quite a wide range of music on there, so there might be something that you find interesting on there. Now, I've had a couple of people ask how I use my HX Stomp live. Because I actually only use it with a MIDI controller and a tuner. So I'm going to walk you through that now as to how I've got it set up for this show. So as you can see, this HX Stomp rig is pretty well gigged, and there's a lot of wear on the pedals. And that's honestly because this is all I've needed since the COVID restrictions were relaxed. And this has got me through so many things. I've tried other little setups with it, but this has never not been in the chain. So let's go through the settings. Now we've got the deluxe comp here, and a lot of the settings are stock because I find it works pretty well. I've set the release to 50 milliseconds and the mix to 67%, so you get a bit of dry signal through there, and I find that really helps just to give a bit more clarity while balancing out the volumes. Compressing fairly heavily in terms of threshold at 45.1 dB, but I'm using a Telecaster and the ratio is pretty low, so it's nothing too extreme. Yeah, and then we come to block 2. Now this is a tube screamer. I'm going to press different buttons on the Morningstar here to show you how it changes the settings. So lead, rhythm, and then you saw it just very quickly flash to the clean there. I don't use it on the clean, so I haven't set those settings up, but it's basically just more gain for the rocky thing, and then really smooth like Bonamassa with the tone on 0 there is what I'm going after. Now, the other thing that's controlled by snapshots via the Morningstar is the amp. So this is all set up to use snapshots. You can see it goes snapshot 1, snapshot 2, and snapshot 3. And what that's doing is it's changing the settings on the amp as well. So we've got the Grammatico Lagrange Bright, which is based on a Tweed Deluxe, but it's just a little bit more modern sounding. Now, you see I'm using the bright channel, but the normal channel I've also got turned up quite high because it just helps to clean it up and you get rid of some of the muddiness that can be present. Bass on 4, tone all the way up, treble on 6, channel volume 5.4, master all the way up. It starts on 8.3, but I just wanted a bit more power amp saturation. However, when you turn it up, that makes the sag a bit more obvious. So I've reduced the sag to 2 to make it tighter, and just generally kind of modernized the tone without completely leaving the Tweed Deluxe DNA, because I really love it for this setup. Then for the rhythm tone, you'll see the normal channel goes all the way off and the bright channel goes up to 3.5. Now that would normally be quite a lot of gain, and if I hadn't adjusted the sag and the bias, you might feel it start to cave in a little bit, but this is really nice and open. Then the lead setting, the drive goes up to 6.6, and this is really my sort of highest gain. And you can see there the tube screamer comes on by default. So without it, and that's all with these 3 buttons. So if I do a single press, a quick press, sorry, it goes to my clean. If I press and hold, you'll see that number 1 change to number 2. So that in action, it's a really handy way to get more out of one foot switch, because I've changed the timing on this so that it reacts exactly the way I want it to. And then the lead foot switch there. Now these buttons up here, I've got my normal delay, and then Millie has a song called Let the Children Play. So for that song specifically, I'm going to press and hold, and that will adjust these delay settings. You can see there I'm alternating between a single press and a press and hold. And then, yeah, so it really sets it up nicely so that I can just start that song. We're not playing to a click to most of the songs, so I have a tap tempo there, but with Let the Children Play, I actually have it set up a tempo command there. And then the level here, I'm using the mix on 100%, and it's not set up at the moment, but you can see I've programmed this so that when it's at A100, it's got no delay in the signal whatsoever. And then via my expression pedal, which is, like I said, not plugged in at the moment, via my expression pedal, I can do this in real time. So it goes to a maximum of even split, which doesn't start to eat into the clean volume, but it just blends the delay in, which is really handy, because then I can use the same settings and do it on the fly. Then I've got a reverb, which I will tweak to the venue when we arrive, but these are my main settings. I like to keep the low cut at least at 250 Hertz, and the decay is quite subtle. It's more like a big room rather than a dynamic hall. And then this all gets blended in. Now, because I'm using the delay in a parallel path, when I turn it off so that it looks right, when I turn it off like that, I've got the B level also assigned to go to minus 60 dB, because otherwise what happens is when you turn the delay off, it still comes down this latter part here, this lower path here, and then you get an increase in volume when you turn the delay off. So you have to simultaneously set that up, but it is worth it. And then finally, last in the chain, this is sort of simulating an effects loop really, and I'm using the Kali V4 because I really like the Mesa C90 speaker. It's based on a lead 80, and I've got the 57 on the cap edge, 2 inches away from the cone. I haven't done any high and low cuts yet, but I've got the level of that set to minus 1.5. This delay must be set to auto, because otherwise you have horrible problems with aligning it with the other mic that I'm going to show you now. And the 4038 ribbon mic. Now that might be a surprising choice, but what that does is it gives me real body with the 4038 and a real extended low end if I want it, and then I've boosted that level by 1.5. So it's around about the same volume, but we've cut 1.5 off the 57 and we've boosted 1.5 on the 4038. Now what I can do is pan, because it's last in the chain, I can have them down the center, so if the sound engineer only has one channel, I can just give him a mix. But if he wants to blend the two mics together, I can give him one out of the left input and another out of the right input. So you just pan one all the way this way and the other all the way that way. Again, note the delay is set to auto because that aligns the cabs in terms of phasing. Now, I think there's one more thing that I missed. Now, this parametric EQ only comes on for the lead setting, and it's set to reduce the lows at 150 Hertz by 2 dB, boost 750 Hertz by 2 dB, and reduce 4.5K by 2 dB, with an overall boost of 2 dB. Now that's my whole rig. I may add a chorus in for the clean. I'm going to see how I feel about that. But sometimes it can sort of make you disappear in the mix, especially in mono. It just sort of takes things a little bit backward. Now, one more thing I wanted to show you was a general global EQ. So I set the low cut at 100 Hertz because I'm never going to need anything too much below there. Now, this is a 6 dB per octave slope, so it's quite subtle. So you're actually still hearing stuff below 100 Hertz. But you're just removing the really low stuff that the bass player is going to be using anyway. Then my low EQ move is the boominess that can occur, the muddiness around 250 Hertz. I've actually got it set to 266. That will remove some of the mud and just make things a bit clearer and cleaner in the room. Then the peaky sort of 3.5K around about then. Again, mine's set a little bit higher, and I've reduced that by 3 dB. Quite a narrow Q there as well, so it doesn't sound too sculpted. I'm doing nothing with the high part of the EQ. And then 7 kilohertz, because again, I'm never going to need anything too far above that, because you know, you're getting into cymbals and everything else. One sound engineer actually told me he always cuts the guitar to 4.5k, but with a gentle slope of 6 dB per octave, and it sounds really good. So if I'm giving less junk to the sound engineer on the way in, that makes his life easier, and he can really concentrate on making the whole band sound good, rather than having to fix a guitar with problems. I hope this was interesting. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll catch you in another video soon.